see your sons picking up on it because they're grown up in a different world? I mean, like every generation, it's like a different world that we grow up in.
Yeah.
How are they responding to this idea of men's work and this idea of, this other way of being as a man?
That's a good question, because I'm really concerned about the youth nowadays, and it was more compounded with COVID, with the isolation, and these kids nowadays, these generations, they aren't challenged to critically think. They're having challenges in society, communicating well, and thinking for themselves, and so that's what I let my boys know. That is what I'm doing. I think my oldest son, Matthew, I believe he's proud of me because he's so far ahead cognitively. This kid is brilliant, and he comes up with things he wouldn't. He knows that I have been a weak man, that I've allowed people to push me around and whatnot, and I believe he's proud of me for what I'm standing for. And he and I have some deep conversations. I mean, it's wonderful. My middle guy, Nicky, he's a quiet guy. He doesn't like to really share his emotions and speak, and so he and I, we'll work on that. But it's, I believe truly that I'm building my legacy, that when I'm not here anymore, my boys are going to respect the work that I'm doing, because I'm putting service and kindness first and money second. And when they were growing up, I worked at hospitals, and for 5 years I was in Manhattan, so that commute was far, and I believe I put money first. And even though I said I'm a family guy, I believe I was putting money first and the job first. And I really wasn't as present as I should have been for them when I was home with them. Not maliciously, but you don't realize you're doing it, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, it's time for us to take our last break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you, how do you stop being a people pleaser? And we'll see. We'll take it from there and talk about what's going on and what you're offering out to people now. Okay, Drew? Awesome.
Yeah, basically this is the whole goal of this organization.
Did it surprise you?
It's a special thing. I think it's something that wasn't. I think it's the first time that a rabbi of a big community in the Haredish community that is doing a thing like that. So of course it's surprising.
Anyway, Shmuel, finally, thanks for being with us. Continue. I hope that the relationship grow and prosper, and thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I had to fly commercial. I didn't have these charter flights or, these guys are making $40 million. Like my contract was only, $10 million. And he kind of sounds disgruntled. And I've always joked, I hope I'm that disgruntled athlete, because that means all the blood, sweat and tears was for something. It means the game has grown, right? I've always said when we see WNBA players signing $1 million contracts, I will feel proud of that moment. But of course, who wouldn't want to play in basketball now? Do I wish I was 22 and playing? Absolutely. I mean, what a time to be playing women's basketball. So of course, I'm sad that I don't get to do that. But I know as a 43-year-old, I couldn't, so I'm cool.
Were there certain songs on your playlist for getting pumped up before a game?
Yeah, I'm a hip-hop fan, so that's my go-to, whether it's, usually it's Jay-Z.
Is there a song in particular? We can end with it.
You want to end with a song? This song is my favorite Jay-Z song, and it's called My First Song. And I actually used a quote from this in my final.
That one from the Kinks at 90.7 WFUV. It's Eric Holland, FUV and Live Nation. Welcome Kathy Griffin to Carnegie Hall on Saturday, October 26th for My Life on the PTSD List. Info and tickets at carnegiehall.org and the Carnegie Hall box office. That's Kathy Griffin, October 26th at Carnegie Hall from Live Nation with media support from FUV. Janet Bardini will be coming in just a few minutes. She is in for Darren DeVivo this evening. I'm going to check out with Black Pumas from Chronicles of a Diamond that came out last fall. Here's Mrs. Postman at FUV.
Carter works it free. Ahead for Rust for the red line. Shoots for the empty net and scores with 2:11 remaining.
So Russ gets his second of the game, his 26th of the season. Carter and Letang get the assist at 17-21. Rangers would keep the net empty, and it would be Crosby that would end the game.
Fox for Panarin. Panarin shoots. It's blocked by Crosby. Empty net. Here comes Crosby. Moving in. He shoots. He scores.
So Crosby's second of the game, his 37th of the season at 19:15, would finish off the Rangers and a 5-2 Pittsburgh win. Penalties in the third period. Malkin for slashing at 19:24. For the Rangers, it would be 2 minute men on the ice at 13:58. Barclay Goodrow for slashing at 19:24. Shots on goal 9 for the Rangers, 8 for the Penguins. So the Rangers outshot the Penguins in all three periods, 30-22 for the game. Both teams end up going 0 for 3 on the power play. And the Rangers lose by the final score of 5-2. Time now for By the Numbers, brought to you by the all-new Mucinex Kickstart. One of the positives in the game, Artemi Panarin gets a point. He now has 64 assists, 108 points so far on the season. He is now all alone in third place for the...
Their stress levels were up to notch.
That I must tell those who failed to report for duty this morning, they are in violation of the law. And if they do not report for work within 48 hours, they have forfeited their jobs and will be terminated.
In that one action, the 11,345 traffic controllers who ignored the president's threat were fired. Although initially the nation's air traffic was restricted, FAA supervisors, non-striking controllers, and military controllers were recruited to fill in for the strikers until their positions could be permanently filled. President Reagan, a former leader of a labor union himself,
weeks of pregnancy before many women even know they're pregnant. Abortion will be on the ballot in many states.
It's not yet clear how many states will vote on measures to enshrine abortion access in November. Voters in 7 states, California, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Montana, Ohio, and Vermont, have already sided with abortion rights supporters on ballot measures since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and removed the nationwide right to abortion. Access or restrictions in other states have been decided by legislatures mainly along partisan lines.
Κοιτάξτε, αν ποντάραν για παράδειγμα σε παιχνίδια ή
And I haven't, and all of that was introduced after I stopped going to Starbucks. So I could really care less. Stop going to Starbucks. Other coffee, independent coffee people out there. Go to this.
I don't know. Sometimes I bring my friends.
I tried to join this too, so I'm glad I missed the boat on it. But I wonder, does this detail anything about? Well, I guess it probably wouldn't, but I wonder what kind of losses people maybe incurred, because how much was it for the to join the NFT program?
And wasn't this also part of the loyalty plan? So is that ending as well?
I guess I get. Well, okay. So Starbucks, whose Polygon-powered Odyssey loyalty program has been active in beta since December 2022, has announced the program will end March. So yeah, it's the whole program. It's the whole program. And there are people like the Web3 community on Twitter. They're gonna chime in. So a lot of them are rolling their eyes at the closure, which means to many to be oddly timed at the beginning of the crypto bull market. That's the first thought I had. Like, I thought you guys were doing all of this stuff to get it ready ahead of time. Like you.
Now I'm totally switching gears. I'm super curious about how you're exploring authenticity and identity within the context of travel and tourism. How did that come to be? Why the special interest in Disney? This is just super interesting.
Okay, so when I started out studying authenticity in early 2000s, it was, how one thinks about themselves, also how we interact with others. But over the years, I've noticed the term authentic used to advertise products and consumer goods. And then in about I'd say the last 10 years, I was noticing travel experiences that were being advertised as authentic Ireland, or travel companies that were promising people these more genuine experiences. And I was curious about
100 years. Pictures of dead babies have been great propaganda, and I don't mean to minimize that. War is hell. Terrible things happen. But one situation that came to light here in the States was the picture of the Palestinian boy with the leg blown off and supposedly harmed by the evil Israelis. Yet that picture was from 3 weeks ago in Syria.
I won't mention anything, but the BBC Gaza correspondent.
Potentially dangerous. Some of these facilities, like in Dannemora, have more than 1,000 inmates. Putting them all out in a rec yard at once would come with its own risks. The 3-hour lockdown during the eclipse will also impact prison staff. They'll be required to work wherever they're assigned. Robert says that kind of restriction is just one you get used to when you work in prisons.
Unfortunately, corrections, my 17 years this year I'll have in. I've missed many Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, birthdays, weddings of friends and family over the years because like we said, we're 24/7, 365.
For many incarcerated people and some staff, Monday's total solar eclipse would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The next time New York will be in the path of totality will be 55 years from now. In Saranac Lake, for the New York Public News Network, I'm Emily Russell.
A group of incarcerated people in New York is suing the state's Department of Corrections. They say it's their constitutional right on religious grounds to view the eclipse. That lawsuit was filed in federal court on Friday. The state has not commented publicly on the lawsuit, citing the ongoing legal matter.
Scientists are studying even changing what it is that you're eating, which I think is really empowering for people in food deserts, for people who can't easily change what it is that they're eating, And so, so what the research is showing is that, first of all, your average American is digesting and metabolizing calories from the moment they wake up until the moment just before they go to sleep, right? And that seems to be out of sync with our natural circadian yearnings to, for one, be diurnal creatures, which we are, so we're meant to eat primarily during the day and not too close to bedtime. And studies show, for example, that eating late at night actually affects your next day hunger rhythms. So for anybody trying to lose a little bit of weight, eating late at night might be, in a way, causing your efforts to backfire. They've shown that this negatively affects next day energy metabolism. It increases hunger and decreases your metabolic rate, not by huge margins, but by margins that, if regularly occurring and sustained, might presumably lead to weight gain. Blood pressure hypertension is a major problem. About 50